Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to speak to you today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Sarah? I love your wallpaper.
Wallpaper, thanks. Yeah, it's such a
Is that
great.
yours?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
Hackney. Look it up. It's great.
It's who?
It's called House of Hackney, the brand.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's fascinating. Love it.
Maybe you can kick off with a brief introduction to this amazing series, Culprits. What can people expect when they watch it?
They can expect the mystery, drama, thrills, action. Uh, be prepared to cry, maybe.
And when you first read that script, what jumped out to you? It just feels, wildly original, really gripping, and one of those where you don't really know quite where it's going to go. So, what did you think when you first read the script?
Uh, I okay. So I didn't read the script. I still haven't. I thought it was like apropos for my character to not know what's going on at all. So I mean he doesn't know what's going on. So I was like I don't want to know what's going on. But for I mean I obviously read my scenes. But I think yeah the first thing that got me was just just like the emotional arc of Joe and Jules, and then just Jules' emotional journey through the show. Um, yeah, when I first got the audition, when I got the script for the audition, I read the scene there's a scene in episode two, um, but then just knowing that Jules or that Joe had this like other life, this past. I was like, I was like, oh my character's gotta maybe find out at some point. I'm like, what's that going to be? What is that going to be like? So I was like, yeah, just all of that whole journey was kind of one of the first things that got me, and then the writing I thought was just felt so natural in my body. It's like what was one of those things where I was like, like when something's really easy to memorize, in my head, I think it's because the writing just is very natural and just like flows all together. So it's just very nice to get scenes uh, that felt like they felt like music, you know. Um, and then yeah, just the character of Jules was a character I've never really played before. Somebody that was yeah, just like a little bit closer uh, to myself, a bit more emotional, a bit more sensitive than me. But it was yeah, that was kind of like the grip for me. All of those things.
And how did you see Jules, and how did you prepare to play him? And I guess that helps then kind of putting yourself in a similar position to him. Not knowing this other side. Suspecting something's going on with Joe, but not being able to put your finger on it. So how did you see him, and how did you prepare to play him?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I saw him. There are like quite a few qualities of Jules that. Sorry, you said of Jules or of Joe? Of Jules of my character.
Your character. Sorry, yes,
Yes.
yeah.
So no, you said Jules. Yeah, there are like quite a few like values that I think I share with Jules. So like there are moments where I was like, oh yeah, I understand why he would make these choices. So that didn't feel too uh, far from me. Um, but in terms of I guess like my preparation for him, I I cried a lot. I did a lot of crying. Yeah, that was a lot of my preparation. I watched a lot of uh, uh, like scenes from a marriage. I just watched a bunch of like relationshipy shows where relationships were in turmoil. Yeah.
And what about working with Nathan? And he's done some really great other roles. I was watching him, and it felt so familiar. And I was thinking, Soulmates, and before that, Misfits.
Soulmates, yeah. Misfits, yeah.
And I love, kind of the sort of the dual role basically that he does play in this. But what was it like working alongside him, particularly with your scenes?
It was wonderful. He's like quite collaborative. And then also, yeah, the way he just the way he like moves around set during scenes and the way he figures out his blocking was yeah, I learned so much from that, where a lot of it was uh yeah, just like kind of treating it as the stage, blocking on stage. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, like you treat the distance between people in the same way that you treat distance on stage, and what that means between two people, which was like so cool. And just seeing like the way he kind of like uh, worked out like technicalities of camera was very cool, because he's been doing it for so long. Um, but then also, yeah, just like so playful in scenes, and just like was very much like, let's connect, and why do we feel these things in this moment, and why, like, if I'm doing this to you, um then how do you feel? And yeah, it just felt uh yeah, just very organic, which was nice.
Did you have to give him any pointers on his American accent, or was that, did he just nail that on his own?
No, it was amazing. And I knew he wasn't American, but he would sustain his American accent through our duration of filming, um, and anytime he would like flip back to his natural accent, or just his natural voice, I was like, oh yeah, right. And everybody on set, there was like a lot of people, like a lot of crew that were like, wait, you're not American. I was like, yeah, like it was very good.
And did you have like a favorite scene to shoot, or on the other side of that, one that you found most challenging?
Uh, I found a lot of it very challenging. I'm like an improviser comedian, so going into this world is like just very new for me. Um, so like a lot of it was a challenge, and also just I'm so used to playing like big broad characters, so to play something that was like closer to home, was already like, oh god, how and why. um but yeah, there's a scene, oh gosh, I don't remember what episode it was, but I think there's a scene in episode 3. I think it's episode 3. Anyways, but yeah, that there, yeah, I don't know if I can say, but there's something that happens in episode 3, uh, that was, yeah, maybe one of my favorite nights of shooting, um, and yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I love sort of the fact that it's got kind of this genre mix of it being kind of this edge of your seat thriller, but then of course in the present day, and particularly the relationship between your characters, it's much more a family drama, and there's all these other themes that kind of seep in, sort of the racism that Joe's character is facing, with the politician, and then also this conversation at some point, they're saying like, oh, do they accept us as a gay couple? We don't have any other gay friends. So it's kind of bringing you into this much more sort of grounded space where you're thinking about those issues that are very prevalent in society. So do you think it was very important to sort of draw those out?
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, I mean, like they're I, in my head, I'm like, I would love for these conversations to not have to uh, a, exist in a world where everything's perfect, but they do, like, and as much as we were, like, if, fighting for things, 10 years ago, we're still fighting for a lot of the same things now. Definitely very very small steps along the way, but a lot of those issues still exist, and to ignore them in a show like this would be, yeah, I think would be quite hard to do. Yeah.
And I was seeing in your background, you've got that poster of Moonlight. I mean, do you think as well,
Oh
does it
yeah.
still feel quite quite new to see, a gay couple, two men of color front and center in a big show like this. And it suddenly makes you think, obviously Moonlight was incredibly groundbreaking in the sort of relationships and the characters it presented there. And we're still kind of making progress to have that kind of real spectrum of stories being told. And perhaps TV is another area where we're seeing that broaden a bit more.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I still think we have like, yeah, like uh, uh, so far to go, but like the fact that like that I get to play a character and be in a relationship that when I started in this industry, I I never I never thought I would be able to, or this never even would have like crossed my mind as as like a 19-year-old getting into this industry. I was like working on my like Black American accent, getting into the industry, and just working on how do I be more masculine. And I was so afraid every time I would audition to that any kind of like femininity would come out of me, because I would be caught or whatever that is. So the fact that we're here is like wonderful, but again, like the fact that we still have to like call out these microaggressions in the show means that we obviously still have so much further to go, and then also uh, uh, yeah, like just knowing that that there are going to be people that won't watch this show just because of this relationship, or because there are people of color leading the show, is yeah, like very disheartening. But again, I'm like you. It's so important that it's that this is happening again. Just be like, yeah, this and the show's not necessarily about that. Um, but the fact that it's there, I love that it's just uh, it feels and it's so funny because I'm like it feels so like I wasn't thinking about the relationship or uh, just being a person of color while filming. But then as things were coming, I was like, oh right, like this is the world that we live in, and uh, it's going to be like a point of conversation for so many people, because it's not normal. You don't normally see this all the time, right?
And I mean, you were saying that, you didn't even sort of have the full script when you started, when you finally, knew the whole story, watched the whole thing back. Were you sort of
Oh
really on?
no, I haven't, like, Sarah. I still haven't read anything.
No,
I
no.
had the full script. I got the full script from day one. But I was like, I want to, I just want to be in Jules's world. And then I kind of just want to be surprised when everything comes out. Because yeah, like Jules doesn't really know what's going on. So I'm kind of excited to maybe experience things as Jules as I'm watching, and just be like, Joe, oh my God, what have you done?
And I think about time, but can you tell us about some of the other stuff you might have coming up? When you're mentioning they're doing kind of like comedy and improv, so obviously completely different from working on like a massive production like this.
Yeah, no, yeah, nothing at the moment. Just very excited for this. And yeah, if you're in Vancouver, BC, come watch me improvise.
That sounds brilliant. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much for sharing all that with me, and I can't wait for everyone else to see Culprits when it lands on Disney Plus. Thanks so much.